What's up, y'all? I'm Kerah Whitfield. Welcome to Kerah Speaks, where faith, healing, and real conversations meet. I am a speaker as well as author of the book, Healing Cost Me Everything. That's available right now on Amazon.com. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and let's build a community. Today we are talking about silent expectations, usually coming from lack of communication. How often do we expect people to just read our minds? I know I was really bad at it because communication is hard, right? Saying what you need is hard, especially if you are always deemed to be asking for too much when you ask for what you need. So when you get into relationships, you are sometimes afraid to ask for what you want or what you need because you're afraid somebody is going to leave or people will abandon you emotionally or physically. So sometimes you just don't say anything. You just hope that they'll eventually read your mind or guess or watch your demeanor to try to guess what you need. And that builds resentment and it have you questioning your relationship with that person. It'll have you feeling let down because they aren't showing up in the way that you expected them to. You just assume that they will show up in a certain way because that's what you've done, right? You pay attention to people. You expect people to pay attention to you. And when they don't pay attention in the way that you think they should, that's when you feel hurt. You feel discarded. You feel left out. That's a silent expectation. Silent expectations are dangerous because they create disappointment over time. Disappointment in people. And you start to just expect people are going to disappoint you. Listen, I know. I lived it my entire life. I expected people to disappoint me. You can go your whole life like that and people will never know that you resent them. They will never know that you are harboring all of this hurt because of maybe childhood trauma or people not showing up for you when you were a child. And now you just don't know how to ask for what you need. And because of that, you lack effective communication skills. And that hurts your relationships. Over time, you have just built up these walls and you find yourself looking at people differently as if these people don't care. But it's not that. It's just you didn't communicate what you needed. We want people to show up for us in a specific way and we don't say it out loud. A silent expectation example would be wanting our friends to show up for us on our birthday a specific way, but we never really vocalize it. We don't tell them anything. And then when they might get us some little gift card or something, we upset because it's like, what you mean? This what you gave me? I want something lavish. Did you communicate that with them? No. So how were they ever supposed to know? So that's an example of having expectations for people that you never communicate, or wanting people to celebrate your wins in a way that you celebrate theirs. You know, I think that is what most people do. You know, we want to be celebrated in the same way that we celebrate others. I used to think that if I show up in a certain way, people will look at me and mirror that behavior. It don't work like that. I can give you an example for myself. For instance, when I wrote this book, Healing Cost Me Everything, I only shared it with my two best friends, right? Now, I had an expectation at how I wanted them to receive the book. Now, I will say I loved them and they were nothing but supportive of me when I wrote the book, or they didn't even know I was writing the book, but when I released the book and after they read it, they were nothing but supportive. However, they did not respond in the way that I was expecting. Now, I could have projected that onto them and been upset at them not responding in the way that I wanted. Because what I wanted them to tell me what chapter they enjoyed, what words resonated with them, what did they feel. I wanted all of those things because I'm all about depth. I love conversations. I love to talk about it. Not for my own ego, but I wanted to know, did it resonate with them the same way it resonated for me when I was writing it? Because I had to also understand that this book was about a mirror. And the things that I'm talking about in this book is very deep. It is very personal. And sometimes people cannot put those things into words in the same way that I do. So I had to respect that. And even though they didn't respond in the way that I was expecting them to. So the way that they did show up was just as meaningful, and it was their own unique way. So even though they didn't show up in the way that I was expecting them to, I still was able to appreciate And I zoomed out and said, Kerah, you got to be able to understand how people show up and know that the way people show up, the way that you show up is not going to always be the way that other people show up. And you got to be able to appreciate all of the things. If people love you and they support you and they show up consistently, that is just as valuable. People have different ways of expressing love. But sometimes, when people don't show up the way that we expect, we do feel hurt. We do feel rejected. And that rejection sometimes is very quiet. It's quiet, but it's powerful. Rejection and disappointment can get down in your spirit like a weed and choke out any hope, any light, and it will make you question the love. It will make you question the love that people have for us. It will make you question your friendship. It will make you question the love that people show you. It will even make you question your worth. And that's why it's so dangerous. That's why rejection, the feeling of rejection, is so dangerous, because it will have us questioning everything that we know to be true. The truth is, people have limits. And part of that healing that I had to learn is learning to love people for who they are. Now, I'm not talking about toxic love. I'm not talking about loving people at their limitations. I'm talking about loving people in their healing, not their stagnation. As long as people are growing and they are moving towards you, those are the people I'm talking about, not the people who refuse to grow their capacity. I had to learn to love people for who they are and not who I wanted them to be. That was hard. I did this my whole life. I wanted people to be a certain way. And when they weren't that type of way, I attribute it to poor character. That's not fair to people. That's not fair because they don't act the way that I act. They don't think the way that I think. They don't feel the way I feel. I think something is wrong with them. That's not right. I had to unlearn that type of behavior. That's what therapy has done for me. It's an active thing. It's one thing to be aware of. It's another thing to choose a different behavior. It's to choose a different thought pattern. I am in a place now in my healing journey where I am creating, and I am in a really creative space. And I know that my friends may not be able to meet me in certain places of my creative process, and that's okay. I do allow them to show up for me in certain areas, but the depths of the creativity, I know that they may not be able to understand or meet me there, but they are amazing in how they show up for me in the most practical ways. And that's just as important as someone showing up for me in the depths of my creative process. So what? They might not understand the creative process and how I wrote the book or how I created whatever. The fact that they show up for me in practical ways is what matters to me. And I know that their support is genuine and consistent. Showing up in practical ways is a limit in that specific area, not the entirety of the friendship. And that's where you have to learn the difference. Are people lacking supporting you in the entirety of the friendship or just in specific ways? If it's just in specific ways, you can navigate that friendship. But if you have major differences in how you view friendship or how you view relationship, that's something that you need to explore. That is beyond having an expectation. That's an alignment. When there are limits throughout the whole friendship, that's when your friends can't even see who you are at your core. They carry silent competition, jealousy, backhanded compliments whenever you get ready to succeed or something, or they don't celebrate your wins. That's a difference of alignment. But this is where discernment comes in. You have to know which kind of friend you're dealing with because the response is different, because there are two different paths. For friends with specific limits, these friends, you can still love them deeply, but you stop requiring them to fill spaces where they don't have the capacity. The friends with whole limits, however, those friends can't see you at all. That's when you need to reevaluate the relationship. And sometimes love in that friendship where there are whole limits requires distance. And that's a different type of grief. For a long time, I felt like friends who did not meet me at my depth or in my creative space, I felt like it was a rejection of me. My creativity is who I am. It is a part of me. It is something that is meaningful to me. So I felt like If my friends couldn't get that, they don't know me at all. They're rejecting the whole part of me. But my awareness and my perspective has shifted to know that one person can't meet all of your needs. Some of your friends meet different needs, and that's okay. It's okay to have multiple spaces, multiple relationships that pour into you in different ways. My problem is I used to try to be everything to everybody. And so I was looking for people to do the same thing for me, but that'll drain a person. It drained me. So I couldn't expect people to do that. When I stopped expecting one friend to carry everything, that's when I stopped having silent resentment. I started practicing loud gratitude and appreciating the people who show up for me in practical ways, because I need that too. Silent expectations, they break friendships. They break relationships. When you identify your limits, communicate both your specific and your whole limits, you free others from that unfair pressure, that unfair expectation and standard that you have that you never even told them. And you free yourself from disappointment. So ask yourself today, who am I holding silent expectations for? Is this a relationship that I need to adjust for or release? That's all I have today. You can go ahead and give me a like or comment. Tell me, how has silent expectations shaped your life and your relationships and your friendships? I'll see y'all next time. Stay faithful, stay healed, stay free.